It's a little explosion that goes and attacks things.
Ozone's a catalyst that puts chemistry into solution better than hot water.
The installation and the maintenance is the most important thing.
Sanitized laundry, that's how you differentiate yourself from your competition.
Hey everyone, Dave Men's Laundromat Millionaire coming to you from Cincinnati, Ohio again for another fantastic episode of Laundromat Millionaire Business Podcast. I'm here with my amazing, beautiful, and I could go on all day about her, wife, Carla Menz. And we have a fantastic show for you today because we are talking about something that for the last 12 to 18 months I've been inundated with questions and emails and text on, and that is my SanOWash ozone system. And so we have the founders and the head engineer of Aquawing SanOWash ozone system, and you can you'll be able to see a picture of it in a minute here. And we are just excited to have these guys on. They're going to tell us all about their product, all about the technology, all about the sales behind it, and how it can revolutionize your laundromat business and even your OPL side of your business if you're in that type of business. So Carla, why don't you introduce our guest today?
Okay, so I am super excited today. We have two guests on coming to us from Auburn, New Hampshire. First, we have Ralph Daniels. He is the owner of Daniels Equipment, a commercial laundry equipment distributor in the New England region. And also, he is the owner of Aquawing Ozone Injection Systems. It is a laundry sanitization system, which is very much in demand right now. Also with us today, we have Dave Spofford, also known as Ozone Dave. He is the Director of Engineering for Aquawing. So, guys, Ralph and Dave, I am so happy to have you all here today.
We're humbled to be with you.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys taking your time out to help us educate the industry, because that's what this is really all about today. As I told you guys before, there's a lot of people that are just enamored with those of us that have pulled the trigger, put SanOWash ozone system in our stores, and they're hearing about the sales and the numbers and the marketing and how it's revolutionizing our business. And obviously how it's disinfecting people's clothes, which, you know, this is being recorded in the middle of 2021. So we're kind of on, hopefully, the tail end of COVID at this point. And there's not a better time for a laundromat or even an OPL service to think about this type of a product. So we're excited to have you guys on here. For our listeners out there and our viewers, there's going to be a few things that are on the video version of this that you're not going to hear you're not going to see on the audio version. So if we're referring to the ozone system and things like that, you may want to go back and check on the video version of this. You can find that on YouTube and on our C-Suite TV channel so that you can see the video version of this as well if you want. Listen, guys, we've got a lot to cover. So if it's okay, I just want to jump right in. So my understanding is that you guys are gurus beyond all gurus when it comes to ozone, the technology, the sales, the marketing behind it, and how to help us laundromat owners elevate our business to a different level. My understanding is that you guys have been at this for roughly 20 years. How did a couple of equipment guys, an engineer, get into the ozone system? Can you guys kind of walk us through how this relationship started and formed and why you created the SanOWash system? And then obviously we want to talk about how it can help a business owner.
In the early 90s, we were involved with water reclamation. What we did was with Dave, created a system where we would take the rinse water, pump it up to 2 containers above the washer and bring it back down for the wash and the bleach wash. And what happened was a good friend of mine that owned a chain of nursing home decided to put a little window in one of the tanks. He calls me up and says, "Ralph, well, you better get down here." So we went down, and inside there was pretty dirty. And he goes, I'm concerned about this. We came back and said, I heard a little story over in Germany about ozone and how it disinfects. We started doing some investigating and realized that ozone will allow you to save up to 40% of the water, where we were only saving 32% of it. And we were using hot water with the present system that we're doing in the 90s. And we now are saving 40%, and we're saving all this hot water. And the side benefit was we were actually disinfecting on the on-premise laundry. And that was really the start of it, Dave.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. We started with the ozone. We're gonna clean up the water we're using,
Yeah.
and the ozone actually got rid of the water we're using. We didn't need it anymore, so it just threw water use right out of the picture.
Yeah.
It was pretty interesting. Now, when we started ozone, you could Google laundry ozone. Of course, I don't even think it was Google. And you go on the internet and Google and find there was nothing there. If you hit it now, you probably get 300,000 hits. You know, there was
Right.
nothing. So it was an interesting process to find out even really what ozone was, how it worked, how you used it, so forth and so on. It was a long, fun process, actually.
And
Okay,
today,
so for the layman out there, what is ozone? So I know it's oxygen, right?
Yep.
Is it O2, O3 or something?
I'll
Yeah,
grab that
yeah,
one.
let's Dave, let's
What's
Dave,
the
let's get
science here?
I'm
Yeah, let's-
I'm a layman, so you're not going to get a very scientific. But basically, we take the oxygen in the air, we run it through a high intense spark, which the oxygen is O2. It breaks apart. Some of it reattaches as O3. Some of it reattaches as O2 too. So when it comes out of that high intensity spark, some of it's O3. We push that in and use it.
Okay,
The
so
percentage
O3,
varies on
basically
generator.
3 little atoms connected of oxygen. I'm getting very layman here.
that's
So
where
3
we
little
are.
atoms of oxygen bond, and just by putting those in the water, that sanitizes the water.
Yeah, there's a lot of energy there, and as soon as it finds something organic or something it can do, it basically knocks off that third atom. And that
Okay.
I call that real layman. It's a little explosion that goes and attacks things, and then it turns
Okay.
back into oxygen. So the one that knocks off goes into one, and the other 2 are oxygen. So it just turns right back into oxygen.
Okay.
Ozone has to be doing that to be doing something. You can put all the ozone you want. If it's not converting back to oxygen, it's not doing it.
Okay.
So
And that's where the disinfecting actually happens, not to get too technical, but that's where the disinfecting of when you, and correct me if I'm wrong, because we're learning too. But so when it breaks apart and you said it has to find something to attack, it's attacking the dirt, the infections, the viruses.
Yep.
Is that
The
accurate?
germs,
Yep.
the bad
It
stuff.
also attacks the soap a little bit, which does basically the same thing the hot water would do. It energizes the soap, gets that working. So it's doing multiple things in there. I like to say in the beginning of the cycle, the ozone is working on the soap, getting the soap working better. Once you rinse that out and you get into the rinses, now it's working on everything else in there, and that's where it's really doing all its disinfection.
Okay, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So one other question I have for you is how does that whole technology thing work when it comes to loosening the fibers of the clothes? My understanding is that ozone loosens the fibers or causes them to relax, similar to a hot water does, which allows you to agitate
That's-
and get out more dirt and grime.
That's why, in layman terms, that's basically what it's doing, is relaxing the fabric. A little quick story. For years doing OPLs, we go into a laundry where the ladies have been washing clothes forever. And you tell them, we're turning off the hot water. They absolutely freak out because that's what my mother told me I needed to do, and her mother told her I
Right.
needed to do.
That's right.
We go, so now you explain to them that if I take out the hot water and install the ozone is going to have the same energy that the hot water had, and that's how we're going to get away with cleaning. And now they can mechanically see how that's working, and that makes them feel much more comfortable about it.
Is it also more gentle on the fabrics than the hot water as far as
Yes.
like color retention and stuff like that, and like the thread
it's-
and all that?
Yeah,
Okay.
hot water is really brutal on linen.
Yeah.
Cold water and the ozone.
I know who does the laundry in your family, Dave.
Actually,
not-
our pickup and delivery service does.
Yep,
So it's
I
not
got-
an ozone.
I got news for you. Our laundry is done with ozone through Happy Nest.
It
We
is.
haven't. The 2 people you're looking at on the screen here haven't done the laundry in 5 years.
maybe like a baseball.
Other than the
uniform,
occasional
when
baseball
you had too
uniform.
many games in the same week.
Yeah,
I'd like
and
to
it's
make the statement that ozone's a catalyst that puts chemistry in the solution better than hot water. So just put that in the back of your mind. And the side benefit is, of course, it disinfects,
Mhm.
or sanitizes in a laundromat.
And so one other question I have, and we may have more, of course, as we go, but so because it functions as the same as hot water, I know the ozone system that's behind you on the wall there, that's the SanOWash ozone system from Aquawing. And I know that system has a vacuum pressure, and I don't want to use the word inject because it's sucking. It's, I know we get all technical here, but the point is it's putting it into the cold water. Is that the reason that you don't put it into the hot water fills, is because it's the same thing as hot water?
Yeah, we tend not to use as much hot water. Hot water also tends to break down the ozone really fast.
Gotcha.
I have done it in a store or two. I've done the hot water. We can do the hot water. The gains aren't really there to spend the extra money to do every valve in the store.
Gotcha.
So
Well,
yeah,
and it's extra energy to heat the water. So you're basically just wasting it, and it doesn't even work as well as the cold water, right?
exactly.
Well, and we also know that even if you choose a hot water bath on a wash cycle, you're still getting typically 2 rinse baths, which are still going to have the ozone in them. So you're
Right,
getting
yes.
it instead of, if you choose a cold water cycle, you're getting ozone 3 times with a 1 wash bath and 2 rinse baths.
Yes.
Where if you choose hot water, you're not getting it on the wash bath, but you're getting it on the 2 rinse baths.
Yes.
And if you're using a warm fill, of course, 50% of that will be ozonated.
So that goes back to, we're going to use the energy of hot water to clean the clothes, relax the fabric, make the soap work, or we're going to use the ozone. So no matter which one you pitch, you're still getting the soap to work with one of the two, and then the disinfections from towards the back of the cycle. That's kind of where that.
Right. Okay.
Well, and I think one of the other big things that we haven't even mentioned yet is we're talking about how great it is on the fabric, on sanitizing your load of clothes. But not only that, in a commercial laundromat, it's sanitizing the machine, right?
Yes.
So like
Yeah.
when you use a machine, it has been sanitized from the previous load, the previous customers. It's clean.
I think that's one of the most important things, is you don't have to worry about what the last guy did or had or whatever.
So the person your customer that's walking through the door feels fuzzy and warm because he knows, or that, I don't know if it's sure, but that customer realizes that the machine is sanitized, the product coming out will be sanitized. But also don't forget, I think as important, is your attendants. They feel fuzzy and warm as well because now they feel secure. We did a study in the UK several years ago that when we were installing at a high level, we have over 3,000 installations just in the UK, that the laundry workers always felt secure when they had a system, one of our systems in there. And they actually had a study done that 40% less lost days where the Ozone Aquawing was installed. The UK is great for studies. Oh, they love their
Wow.
studies. And
That's
I got all
fantastic.
kinds of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a few other things that are I consider them rumors, and I think they have some basis of truth. And if we don't hit on ones that you know of, or that we don't ask the right ones, please let us know. I know one of them is that the common misconception, I guess, out there is that if you put ozone in your store, it's going to rot all your gaskets and your rubber, and it's going to corrode your copper piping and things like that. Can you walk us through whether those are accurate, and if they're not, why they're not?
I can. Washing machines are made for bleach, which is an oxidizer, as ozone is. So in the washing machine, you're not going to hurt anything. I don't know of a washing machine you can. You really shouldn't run it through copper pipes, whether it takes 2 years, 6 months, whatever, or even 10 years to melt those pipes. Eventually it will. That's why we avoid it. So in any controlled ozone is not an issue. Like our OPL systems, we use a lot more ozone. I mean, we really put it in there, but it's controlled. There's a sensor in there that actually keeps the level where we want it through the whole cycle. These systems, we put a little less in, so we can still get sanitation. Once it's in the washing machine, it's perfectly safe. Coming through the pipes isn't a really good idea, which is why we avoid it. There's other reasons too, but so no, you're not going to hurt anything in your washing machine.
So how does SanOWash, and is that unique to SanOWash? How does SanOWash avoid the copper pipes?
We inject it right at each washer. So each water valve has its own venturi. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, if we inject it in the back room and send it there, the ozone is spending its time cleaning the water on the way because it really likes to clean water. It'll kill anything that's in the water. It will also break iron and other things out of the water. If you break the iron out of the water, it's because you can run water with iron it through a whole laundry cycle and out, and it'll stay basically locked into the water molecule. Once you break it out, now you have to deal with it. Well, the way you deal with it in the laundry is a filter. So it's going to filter all the iron, get stuck in the linen, and it makes a big mess. So between depleting ozone on the way there, do what you did to the water, and removing things from it, we try to avoid that. We try not to get the water in the ozone in the water too much in solution. We want to inject it right at the washing machine, so it's in the machine really fast before it gets to deplete, and then it can work on the things that are actually in the washing machine.
Okay, so there are delivery systems, and I'm assuming that's the right terminology,
Yep.
that from the back of the store, I think you said, will
Yep.
inject ozone directly into the cold water copper pipe, and then
Yep.
it eventually ends up in the machines. That's their delivery system.
Yep.
And you're saying that SanOWash is different because you have a delivery system that delivers it directly into the cold water valve through a venturi that avoids the copper. It never goes into the copper. It goes directly into the cold water valve when it opens.
Yep.
And when that opens, how does it know how much ozone to release into it? Because you talked about it being measured. How does it know that?
It's put in with a venturi. In that venturi, for a certain amount of water, puts in a certain amount of gas. So we size the venturis to each washing machine, to the
Okay.
water pressure.
What is
of
a
the washing machine.
venturi? I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's actually, I'm not sure what the definition is. Basically, the water, I'll give you the layman's terms. The water's rushing through a pipe. It goes down to a small hole, and then where it comes back out. Well, where it comes back out, it makes a vacuum. So we have a little port right there. So when the water rushes through there, it creates a vacuum. It's how carburetors work. The many things.
That's how the airplane lifts.
Okay.
Same
So
concept.
it's
Yeah,
like
same
it's
concept.
a
It's the same.
little capsule
Yeah.
thing on the washer that the ozone and the water together mix before they go into the machine.
Yeah, I'm feeling real
Florida?
bad right now. I should have a venturi sitting in front of me. Please don't.
Sorry.
We'll see if we can't send someone off to get us a venturi and a hose. So the important part is sizing the injector for the machine for the amount of water flow and the pressure that you have.
So that it's the right amount. Because
Yes.
what I understand of what I'm going to call older, less sophisticated delivery systems in the past, meaning 20, 30 years ago, my understanding is a lot of old timers in the industry aren't fans of ozone. And
Yep.
my understanding why, and you guys would know more than me, my understanding why is because the older antiquated delivery systems were just a dump valve, for lack of a better term, meaning there wasn't a measured amount, and that created some of the problems. Is that a fair statement, or should I be corrected?
Yeah. The big thing is the industry has had so many trunk slammers over the years that just gave it such a bad reputation by putting something in that didn't work or didn't last, didn't take care of it. And there's still some out there, trust me. It just wasn't what it was supposed to be, and they got away with selling them and not answering the phone afterwards. And the industry has been flooded with that. In fact, when Ralph said, let's get in the ozone business, I says, if we're going to do that, we're going to fix this reputation. We will not be one of those people. And Ralph's actually spent a lot of money over the years making sure that didn't happen. Well, we could have just said, nah.
We actually tripped a little bit. In the late 90s, we installed 60 or 80 OPL systems that we went, whoops, we took them all back 100% and installed the correct one. But as we have found out at the end of the day, if you support the customer, the rest falls in place. And that's what we did.
So full disclosure, I have SanOWash Ozone in my store. I think most people that probably know me know that at this point.
We love it.
And we love
Our
it.
Customers love it.
Yep, we love it. A couple observations that we made that I think is a little bit maybe what you're referring to is the installation. I've compared it to tuning up a car. I've told people like the installation wasn't exactly, just from my perspective as an owner, the installation wasn't really rocket science. But what was more rocket science-y Okay, I'm making up words again. What was more complex was them watching them fine tune what you're describing is the vacuum pressure to each individual machine as they started and stopped and started and stopped. And I see them behind you on the wall. There is a SanOWash Ozone system, and as they're starting and stopping these and filling them and emptying them and filling them, they're tweaking all these little gauges to what I call tune it up, and to get it so that it's delivering just the right measured amount of ozone to each machine based on the fill valve opening and how much water is going to be released. So it's very measured. And what you're saying is, I think what you're saying is that that installation process, if rushed, could, maybe be, let's say, be done at 60 or 70%, meaning that there are problems because the installations in the past, or maybe just the awareness and the knowledge wasn't where, we as an industry wanted it to be. Is that part of what we've perfected
part of it.
when I call the delivery system?
Yep. Yeah, and it was more reliability of equipment that just didn't last. Not to name any names, but there's a company, they just sold them from their desk. They never even went to the place. If you gave them half down, they'd install it. If they were happy, they'd take the rest of the money. If not, they just didn't answer the phone.
Wow.
Didn't care about the other half.
So they weren't, this is a service business, right? This isn't a commodity, and it has to be installed properly, and it has to be, you have to care about the customer service side of things too. It's one thing to get it working properly. It's another thing to keep it working properly.
The installation and the maintenance is the most important thing. The maintenance isn't real high, but it still needs to be done.
Okay. So real quickly, what is the maintenance on that for an owner operator? What's required?
On the system that you see behind us, there's a generator in there, and that Corona tube, which makes all those little sparks, has a glass cell with a steel cell around it and 2 end caps. The O-rings and the end caps need to be replaced, and the glass and the tube need to be cleaned out once a year. I think we're setting it at 4,000 or 5,000 hours. And that's the majority of it. And what we've done to make it easier for our distributors and even our end user that want to do it, we actually have cell exchanges where you can just pull the old one out, put the new one in. It's very quick and easy to do. Other than that, keep the filters clean, check the settings. I can teach everybody, and I've done it over the phone many times, on how to set the flow and the vacuum switches and so forth. In fact, we spent some time doing that together, Dave and I.
Absolutely.
And so that's really it. There's not a lot of maintenance. I designed the system to be maintenance free. Just a little background. I've been a technician on many, many things for many years, and I come from an engineering family. So all these years I was fixing things. I'm going, why did the guy do it like this? Why did the guy do it like this? So when I build things, I build them so that they can be serviced. They got to be reliable and very easy to service. That's really my pet peeve, is why make it hard to work on.
So once the system gets installed and dialed in, or tuned up, as I call it, is there anything that would cause it to be untuned up? Or
not really.
Pretty much just go.
It just keeps going. If somebody should go in one of the bulkheads and break a line or something, then it would be an issue.
Okay.
Now that also brings something else. If you lose a line, or you get a leak somewhere, this does not leak ozone in the room. It just sucks in air instead, which puts air in your washing machine instead of ozone. So,
and that's because it's a vacuum pressure.
Exactly. That generator cannot put any ozone in the room itself. Whereas a lot of systems that have oxygen concentrators and so forth, they can very easily do that. I've seen it in so many places.
Is that dangerous for ozone to be in the air?
Depends on who you ask. If you put enough, typically in a great big laundry with lots of dryers running everything, it's tough to put enough to be dangerous, but it's definitely something that's going to be very uncomfortable for the customers. OSHA has limits on it, so let's go with that.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Well, listen, thanks for that scientific explanation, and thanks for breaking down the technology and how it works. Are there any other misconceptions about ozone in the modern era that the industry thinks are accurate, but we need to nip in the bud? Yeah.
You see some of and they're even on home things. You see people trying to sell ozone systems to put on your home washer. Oh, you don't need any soap anymore. That couldn't be any farther from the truth.
I have heard that. Can you explain that?
The soap is actually what breaks, or actually the ozone can break the soil out, but the soap has to carry it away. So soap goes in, relaxes the fabric, the soil falls out or gets scrubbed out. The soap encapsulates it and carries it down the drain. If you don't do that, it just goes back into the linen as redeposition. So if you had a spot this big on a t-shirt, the whole t-shirt would be gray because there was nothing to carry it away. So that's redeposition. And that's one of the things. There's an old, well, I put ozone in and everything turned gray. Yeah, the guy turned the soap down too much. It had nothing to do with the ozone. It was all redeposition. And I've spent many, many weeks fixing that in different laundries.
So back in the early 80s, there was a particular company that was going out selling ozone and won the contract for the state of Florida correctional facilities. And the sales pitch was 100% cold water, no soap, 8-minute wash. Within 2 to 3 months, everything was gray. And it set the ozone industry back anywhere from 2 to 5 years because that stigma is still out there. I'm on the sustainability board for the ACA, American Correctional Association, and I'm at the shows on a regular and ordinary basis. And there's still people from the 80s says, I remember what happened in Florida. Everything turned gray. So I have to give that quick sales pitch about the reason why.
My turn for a pitch, okay?
That's not a pitch. That was a fact.
No, I'm just kidding. The other thing ozone will not do is remove oil. Okay. If you're trying to wash a cheeseburger stain out of your t-shirt, which I always do. Brake clean works best, by the way. No, if you're trying to wash oily things, you still need hot water. You need to get them up to body temperature for it to flow out of the linen. So if we're doing an OPL and we're doing sheets and towels, we can wash those in cold water and rinse it in cold water. If we're doing table napkins or something, we still have to we got to get them up to body temperature to remove those. It's oversold as oh my God, it'll fix everything in the world. No, it won't. But it does great things for disinfection. It does help the linen. It makes the linen feel softer afterwards. It really helps if you don't use softener. You're not going to change anybody in the laundry industry, in the coin store, not to use softener.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get them to use less soap either. So they're not going to have any redeposition. They're just going to be living in soap. Yeah, and that's what happened with the OPL and the bad reputation ozone is, we're going to save the whole world here. We're going to shut everything down to nothing. And it just makes the linen look like crap.
So if you normally use 3 ounces of soap, you should be using half that because ozone is a catalyst. And what it will do, soap will go poof, right, Dave?
Oh my goodness, where are all the suds coming from?
Well, the washing machine must be on.
Well, Alice, did you leave it on automatic?
I wasn't even using it today.
My goodness. Oh, Alice, the washing machine's gone crazy.
Yeah, it'll tend to make it much sudsier.
Yeah.
Just for the people that don't know, soap suds in a soap are only there to tell you how much soap's in there. They don't do anything else. That's what the suds do. It's something they actually add.
So that's interesting from a one-off perspective as a laundromat owner. One of the complaints we get all the time is, I can't see my soap. I can't see my soap. And so they just keep dumping until they can see soap. And you're saying that ozone actually helps them see soap.
Yes, it will. Now, a lot of times when they can't see the soap in their laundry, it's because they put so much softener the last time.
Yes.
We actually have a place down near Boston where we did soap in the laundry and they couldn't see it. We actually, from our soap supplier, we ordered soap with more suds in it so you could see it.
It's
They
a
made a
problem.
special soap.
Yeah,
So
it's a
what
problem.
we found was several of the customers would come in and they'll dump their soap in. And at the same time, Dave, they'd dump in their, what's it called?
Softener.
Sovitel or something like that.
Suavitel, yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah.
And then try to explain to them not to do it. And unfortunately, it was a language barrier.
Yeah.
You can't change people's habits anyway.
Right.
But yeah, down there they got a 60 or an 80-pound wash and they put in a half a gallon of soap and a half a gallon of bleach softener at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, what are we doing?
Yep.
For anybody that doesn't know, softener is actually animal lard. That's what it is.
So that is a very quick master class on the technology and the delivery system and things like that. So we
We can
appreciate
keep
that.
going. Tell the
Very-
cassette.
Very quickly, Dave, could you, okay, so for those of you on audio, you're just gonna have to bear with us and keep in mind not everybody can see the video. Can you very quickly explain to us what's on the wall behind us and how it works? Okay.
Right next to Ralph's head is two long boxes. Those are the air dryers. We use dry air instead of oxygen. When you make ozone, if you have oxygen, you get more ozone, but you also get stronger ozone. It tends to eat things up. And oxygen concentrators are not very reliable. I don't care whose they are. They have a lot of maintenance. We're trying to stay away from that. So we went to a silicon desiccant dryer. What's in those boxes is two tubes. They're full of desiccant, the same thing you get in your shoe box when you get it. It absorbs moisture. What it'll do is it'll be pulling air through one while it's heating the other. Silicon desiccant, if you heat it up to 350 degrees, the water just comes right out of it and it's brand new again. So it does that back and forth. One would probably do it, but so that we're not overworking it on a muggy day in Louisiana, I put two in. It's just more redundant, more, so we don't have to worry about it. So there's two of those in there. They're both doing the same thing. They just cycle back and forth. To my side of that, there's a big square box. That's the ozone generator. That actually houses, there's two big cells in there that the dry air, which now has 20% oxygen, but it's dried out, goes through there, and we break all those apart and make ozone. From there, it goes down to, it goes over to what I call the candy cane, which is next to my head, which has a bunch of jobs. At the top is a vacuum gauge, so we can see what's going on in the lines. There's also a T valve, which controls the flow from the generator. We'll get more into that in a minute. Let's see, there's two switches. One is a vacuum switch that turns the system on. So when a washing machine pulls, it creates a vacuum in the whole system and basically pulls ozone out of the lines, and that kicks it on to refill the lines. And then there's an upper switch, which is high gear. So in low gear, when it first comes on, anything below 5 or 10 inches of vacuum, we cycle the generator off and on. So we're not making too much ozone for one washing machine or even 2 or 3. Once you get more than that going and we have more flow, the vacuum raises higher and it turns the generator on solid. To get off base a little bit, but one of my biggest calls is the beepers going off in the generator. Well, no, that's low gear. They think it's an alarm.
And so what you were just to clarify, so what you were just talking about there is if there's, let's say hypothetically 40 washers in a store and just 2 or 3, it's not a busy, are filling with cold water, then
Yep.
it will kick on and it will pulse beep is what I would call it.
Right.
And it's because only a few washers are pulling from that vacuum. But
Yeah,
we're saying
that's-
at peak time when you get busy, then more washers are filling more rapidly. And so the ozone system needs to go into high gear to produce enough ozone to fill all those vacuum lines.
Yes, and not only is generator going to high gear, the more washers there are, the more vacuum there is, so the more flow you get out of the whole system. So just a couple of washers is very low flow and less ozone, but once that thing gets a lot of washing machines pulling on, you get a lot of vacuum, more flow, and 100% power.
You always have live ozone in that tube. You don't have to wait for it like you do on other systems. Where if you had a system in the furnace room that is charging the water with ozone, you don't have to wait for the water to get to the washer. This system that Dave has designed, you have live ozone, so you always automatically get ozone as soon as you turn on that washer.
So let me try and explain this, and I've been trying to do it this way, and I don't know if it works or not. We'll let your people tell us. Say each one of my fingernails is a washing machine, okay? And my fingers are the lines, and in between my thumbs is the ozone generator. So if this washing machine pulls, it's going to pull a vacuum from every line in the building, and this is going to refill it. All right, so it's going to pull ozone from everywhere. And when the washing machine is done, and while it's running, while it's filling, this is just going to let the it come back down to room atmospheric pressure rather than vacuum. And while it's doing that, it's filling it. So first thing in the morning, you stop one washing machine, it pulls any ozone that died gets pulled out and fills every line back up with fresh ozone. Now, ozone doesn't last forever, just sitting around, but in a sterile environment, it lasts a long time. So I don't know what the number is, but the ozone lasts quite a while on those lines because it's been getting ozonated at very high levels for a long time. So there's nothing in there to work on the ozone. So that's kind of how the system works. In that candy cane, I call it, there's also a U-trap that has some glycol on the bottom of it, and a check valve. What that's for is we have a check valve that comes with a Venturi on the washer, where it mounts on the washer. There's also another check valve we add, and then it goes off into the lines. Someday you're going to lose both check valves. It's going to happen. I don't know if it's 20 years from now, but someday it's going to happen. And what happens if you don't have that little candy cane, when the Venturi is flowing water, it's under vacuum. When it's sitting still, it's under room pressure, whatever the water pressure is in your room. So someday they're going to fail. There's just no way around it. And if the water will come back up into the system and run in, and that candy cane will dump it on the floor rather than fill your very expensive generator and your very expensive air dryers and destroy them. So basically you'll be able to just turn it back on, fix that check valve, turn it back on, and everything will run fine. So that's kind of why that's there.
So it's like a safeguard.
Yeah, it's for the inevitable. We haven't seen it happen yet, but I know it's going to happen someday, and that's, again, what we try to do is make something that is going to last many, many years without a lot of trouble.
I know I've been in the store and heard kind of that pulsing beeping noise. What is the purpose of that? Like, I know you said that means it's in low gear, but is there a reason that there's a beeping?
The beeping is the actual ozone cell making noise. There's no way of stopping that.
Okay.
In fact, that's why it's in a case. We could put them up high where no one can touch them. The case is to quiet it down.
Oh.
Right. Otherwise, they'd have to be in the back room, and
Okay.
they're much better where people can see what's going on. It's the transformer making that noise in the cell. So the transformer that makes that high intense spark, the spark in there is about 7,000 volts, and it's actually even weirder. We have a steel outer tube, a steel inner. So we have a glass tube, all right, 2-inch glass tube. And then there's a steel tube around that with probably an 1/8 air gap. And then inside of the glass tube is another steel conductor. So we're trying to force that 7,000 volts to go through glass. Well, glass is a insulator. It won't go through. So instead of making one little spark and going through, the electrons get so excited, they actually make thousands of little sparks on that whole glass tube. It's called the corona plasma, I believe. And that's what's happening in there. So that little tube that it shouldn't even let electricity go through is making thousands of little sparks. Now, if you don't maintain the system and you let something like the O-rings go bad or something gets in there, now the electricity can actually concentrate on one little spot of that glass. It will blow a hole through it eventually. That's why once a year we want to go in there, clean everything out, and put new O-rings and so forth. That's the reason for maintenance.
But that's only, so you're saying the maintenance really only needs to be done once a year,
Yeah, once a year.
and it takes a few hours.
Yeah, it's a couple hours if you do the cell exchange, or even an hour, really. A guy that's done a lot of them can do it in an hour, and the average person can do it in a couple hours.
Okay.
I was yesterday writing up the checklist of things to do when it's doing it, because you're in the building, so you want to check all your settings, you want to check all the backend switches, you want to check, everything that's in there that you would check if somebody just didn't install, and you wanted to make sure it was right. So we're going to put it into a couple hour procedure, and then the customer can have a list of what they did too. Just like when you go get your 60,000 mile service done on your car, you have a list of what they're going to do, and that's what we're making up.
Wow. All right. So thank you for that amazing explanation. And I know some of our viewers and listeners out there that might have gotten a little too technical. And that's fine. I always feel like it's better to have a little bit too much information on not just how it helps our customers and how we sell it and market it and make it a differentiator, but a lot of laundromat owners and probably OPL people, before they're going to invest in a system like this, they want to really understand how it works. Because, I know there's another misconception out there that it really doesn't actually do anything. It's like this system that beeps and flashes and makes noises, but there's people out there that believe it doesn't actually do anything. So I do think it's important. I'm sure some people want to fast forward through that, and that's fine if you do. But if you're interested in that type of thing, we wanted to give you that that level of information and knowledge so that you know what you're purchasing. So now let's get into what we know everybody wants to know, Ralph. Okay.
All right.
And what that is sales and marketing. How does it help me as a laundromat owner? And more importantly, how does it help me help my customers? How does it differentiate me in the market?
First of all, I want to thank Dave for the in-depth description on how the system works. I just want everybody to know that's a patent pending system. So don't don't go out in the back of your garage and start making one.
You do, good luck.
Yeah, no
good
kidding.
luck. I was on the CLA board, as you know, Dave, for multiple years, and I started that sustainability board. And one of the things I always would state was that a laundromat needs to be cleaner, whiter, brighter, with enough, excuse me, enough parking for the attendants. And today I say cleaner, whiter, brighter, and sanitized laundry. That's how you differentiate yourself from your competition. And SanOWash, well, I don't want to, Aquawing SanOWash was definitely a way of doing it. So if you own a laundromat or opening a laundromat, and most of people that own a laundromat has a competitor across the street, and here's the way that they handle it. And if you go into your competitor and they have a trough, first thing you do when you walk in the morning, what do you have? You have that odor from that trough. When you put a SanOWash in, that odor goes away. So that's marvelous. Now, the other thing is if you install a SanOWash, what's the toughest thing you do when you open up a business? You got to get the message out. I always promote marketing. You need signage. Don't be afraid of social media. You need to get the word out there. You can put in the greatest, you can drive a Bentley, but if you leave it in the garage all the time, the message isn't out there that you like a Bentley or a Yugo. Now, see how good your memory is if you know what a Yugo is, but but the point is you have to have marketing. And if you want to differentiate yourself, you need to consider those multiple things: cleaner, whiter, brighter, parking, and now today, in the last couple of years, it's sanitation.
I'm not from the sales part, so I'll tell you flat out, if you're not going to advertise a thing hanging on the wall, no one's going to know what it is. It's a waste of money.
Yeah.
You advertise it and they know they're getting something. They'll be in the door again, and their friends. It's been proven time and time again.
Well, listen, guys, if it's okay with you, I want to do something a little bit different because, as I mentioned, we put Ozone in our store, one of our stores. This is being recorded in June of, I guess it's now July, 2021. And I would like to share our experience. Is that okay?
Yes.
Oh, go for it.
Okay. So this is, I want to walk you through my mentality as an owner. I spent about a year and a half researching Ozone as I heard the buzz. I started talking to a few people that had Ozone in their stores and getting their experiences. Over that period of time, I asked a lot of questions. Essentially what happened is it came to the point where all of them told me that what you guys just told me, which is if you're going to put it in your store and not market it and not promote it, don't put it in. It's a joke because it works the way we say it'll work, whether we promote it or not. But if nobody knows what it's doing, then it really doesn't matter. And so that was feedback I got. So these are some of the top operators in the industry, which are friends of mine. And what they all told me is that they invested fairly heavily in marketing and things like that for their product. And what I heard was over the course of 12, and I probably talked to 10 or 15 people, what I was told pretty consistently was if you invest in the marketing of the product, you focus on it being a market differentiator and how it makes you different from your competitors, which is all the things you're saying for us, then the reality is if you do those things well, that you can pretty consistently expect to see around a 20 to 25% increase in sales over an 18-month period of time. And I'm just throwing out rough averages based on all these conversations. That got my attention because I already have successful stores, but I'm always looking to push the envelope and be better. I knew if I put this in my store, I would be the first laundromat in Cincinnati that would have the SanOWash Ozone system. And so that's what I'm all about. That's what our organization is about, is pushing the envelope and being better tomorrow. We want to lead the industry in our market rather than follow. And so that's what we did. The fact of the matter is, I invested in the Ozone system. We put it in our store. I wanted to see what it did. And so I didn't do anything. I didn't do any marketing. I didn't do anything. There's a sign that they provide to us. It's a little like 12 by 18 sign, I think. And it goes right below the system. And it just says what SanOWash is and cleaner, whiter, brighter. That was the only thing that we did other than put it in. My employees obviously knew the system was there, but I didn't tell them what it was or what it did other than just real basic terms. I waited 3 months. So I waited 12 weeks. And customers really didn't get much feedback on, but our employees could tell because we do a lot of wash, dry, fold, as people know. Our employees could tell when they did drop-off orders and they did processing orders for pickup and delivery. That store did have it's an older store that we had retrofitted a few years ago. And what ended up happening was it always had kind of a rough odor in the store just from being
kind of
older.
a stale water smell.
Yeah. And what happened is within a day or two of putting the SanOWash Ozone system in, the smell in the store was amazing, which you were talking about a few minutes ago. Our customers and our customers noticed it, our employees noticed it, and I noticed it. That alone was enough for me because I had done all kinds of stuff to try to get rid of the smell and couldn't get rid of it. It's a 40-year-old laundromat. It is what it is at that point. And so that was impressive to me. But what was really impressive is we had a drop-off customer that brought in 80 pounds of heavily soiled laundry. And it was pretty disgusting, to be honest. And they're a regular customer. They come in all the time. And so we go out of our way to take care of them. And there's only so much you can do with that type of an order. But our attendant took the order. It was the day after the system was installed. They put it in an 80-pound washer and they washed it. And I actually was there when it came in. And I told her, I said, don't do extra wash, don't do extra rinse, don't do extra detergent, don't put vinegar in there. I just want 1 wash and 2 bath cycles. And I want to see if this Ozone does what it's sold to do. 1 regular detergent, 1 wash cycle, 2 rinse cycles, which is standard on our machines. And the smell was almost 100% gone. I was blown away. My employee was blown away. My general manager was blown away. And that was quite frankly enough for me. But I let it ride for a few more months. I got consistent feedback from our team, and we have a team of about 40 people. So we do a lot of pickup and delivery and drop off and stuff. And I consistently, it started spreading. This person told this person how great it was, and this person told, and then they started telling our customers. And so this organic thing happened, and that was enough for me to invest. So the next thing I decided to do is, okay, I'm a believer now in every way. My friends have told me the technology has proven itself, and so I invested. We spent about $10,000 having a professional team come into Cincinnati and make a professional commercial for our pickup and delivery business and a separate commercial for Queen City Laundry, which is our retail brand.
Hey, welcome to Queen City Laundry.
Hi. I walk my neighbor's dog just so I have someone to talk to.
Excuse me?
I sniff my clothes to see if I can wear them again.
Okay,
Even my underwear. And I'm a vegetarian.
good for you.
Unless there's a corn dog around. And then I just pretend it's a carrot. Okay. I hold fake press conferences and make my cats the reporters.
That's very odd.
Don't try to unpack that.
I won't.
I told my son to give up the guitar.
Why would you?
'Cause he slays. I'll proudly accept spam calls.
That's strange.
I've got 300 followers,
Oh,
which happen to be squirrels because I keep assorted nuts in my pocket.
I don't know how to respond to that.
You're also looking at a guy who gifted his wife a gym membership.
Oh no.
What? She could really use the steps.
I'm sorry, but why are you telling me this?
I was told this is where you go to air out your dirty laundry.
Oh, actually, you're at Queen City Laundry and must have heard about our new SanOWash system. Yeah, the SanOWash system is a revolutionary new way to add the perfect amount of ozone, or oxygen, to your laundry, and it perfectly sanitizes the washer during every load. It provides a much better wash than non-ozonated water. Fabrics experience less wear and come out cleaner, brighter, and whiter. And since the fabrics washed in ozonated water retain less moisture, it makes for a reduced drying time.
Wow.
In fact, since adding ozone to the wash allows us to use less hot water, it actually reduces the carbon footprint of the store, allowing you to feel less guilty.
That's how I feel when I look at my neighbor's mailbox.
Please stop telling me these things.
Come get your clothes cleaner than ever at Queen City Laundry in Mount Washington with our SanOWash Ozone system. SanOWash not only super cleans your laundry, but also sanitizes and kills most viruses with every wash at no additional charge. Now accepting credit cards. Queen City Laundry, Mount Washington.
It was a lot of fun having it done because we'd never done anything like that, and it was an investment. And then we spent over the next 4 or 5 months alone, we spent probably $3,000 or $4,000 promoting this commercial on social media. So pay-per-click ads, Google AdWords, all these things. So I'm going to back you up on the timeline. We had it installed in June. I gave it about 3 or 4 months to prove itself to me before I did anything. Then we hired the company to make this commercial, which took a few months, and we rolled out the commercial in December. So it was roughly 6 months later. Business had went up maybe 4 or 5%, which is significant. But I don't know that I attribute that really to Ozone. It was just, we're always trying to grow. We're always promoting our brand. We started running the commercials at the end of December. And by June of the following year, which was last month, our self-serve revenue alone was up over 30%. Now, I'm going to go ahead and share our numbers because this store does roughly $300,000 in self-serve alone. And then we do about $800,000, $700,000 to $800,000 in pickup and delivery. So if you want to do the math real quick, in a 6-month period of time, not even a year period of time, a 6-month period of time, yes, we invested in the commercial. Yes, we invested in the marketing. Yes, we had the system installed, which there's a cost associated with that. And we basically got an ROI within 6 months if you take December to June. That was my personal experience. Now, I'm not here to sell you Ozone, but what I am here to do is to elevate the industry. That's what we are all about. That's what my book that's coming out is all about. That's what my YouTube channel is all about. That's what I'm personally all about. And my wife is all about that because I won't shut up about it. So the reality is, sorry, Ralph, sorry, Dave, I'm not here to sell Ozone systems for you guys to make you money. And you know that about me. But what I am here to do is find win-wins for our industry. Yep. And this is a win-win, guys. So I'm telling you, the industry, from my personal experience, from talking to 10 or 15 people in the industry, the Ozone system is the real deal. The delivery system is not what it used to be. They have something here. I'm a proven case study of it, and I'm not being paid anything to say this. I'm not for sale, okay? But the reality is the technology works, and if you invest in the marketing, you can see returns similar to mine. And ultimately, what our marketing has suggested is we are the only sanitizing laundromat in Cincinnati. Right. That's the message. Plain and simple, end of story. Now, we do talk about cleaner, whiter, brighter. We do talk about those things, stain removal, and we do hit on those things. But that's the tagline, big picture message is we are the only sanitizing laundromat in Cincinnati. Now, we won't be because eventually somebody will have it, and that's what my hope. My hope is that other people in Cincinnati eventually get SanOWash, and what happens is the industry is elevated. See, I'm not afraid of competition. I welcome it because then we better serve our communities. Now, the reality is the little competition we have left on the east side of Cincinnati probably aren't going to invest in Ozone, but hopefully other people throughout Cincinnati, all over the country and all over the globe. So the reason we're doing this today is to nip some things in the bud with some misconceptions, hopefully explain the technology and the delivery system and why it works, and then explain to you, the owner of laundromats across the country, why you need this, because it is an investment. And if you're going to put it in and you're not going to do it justice by marketing it as a market differentiator, then you're missing out. But if you want to be like us in Queen City Laundry and you want to promote the fact that you have a market differentiator, I always joke, I'm like, my commercials are basically this, 90 boo boo, we have something you don't. That's basically what we're doing is we're telling. So, I wanted to take that opportunity to share my experience, not because Ralph or Dave asked me to do so, and not because I'm a paid endorser of theirs or anything like that, but because I am all about elevating our industry. Is there an investment? Yes. Can you calculate an ROI? Yes, you should be able to. They can sell you the system, they can install the system, but you got to go market the system. You have to invest in those things. And so what did I invest? Probably $50,000, $60,000. But once again, do the math. What's 30% of $300,000? I got my money back in less than a year. And that's with me sitting on my hands for 6 months, basically, very intentionally. And so, I think I remember you telling me that I can expect the system to, do what it does without too much trouble for, 10 to 15 year lifespan. Do I remember that
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah, if you take care of it, maintain it, just same as your car. If you change the oil every 10,000 miles, it'll go 300,000. If you never do it, it's going to go 100 and it's going to be done.
Right.
So
And so it's a system that you have to maintain, but we've talked about the fact that there's not a lot of maintenance to it.
it's very simple and very.
So I just wanted to quickly share my story. Ralph, can you give us maybe, and I don't want to put you on the spot, can you maybe give us an example of another operator aside from Dave Menz? And you don't have to give their name or anything, but maybe just some numbers if you have them off the top of your head of a similar case study. Do you, I'm totally putting you on the spot, but do you have something like that you can share with them just so they know I'm not an aberration?
Several. Number, I would state that on the West Coast, about in the LA area, we have a customer there that jumped up 20 to 22% in a short period of time, year over year now. We have one in Ohio, 32% year over year, same period. That was even through COVID there.
That was before COVID.
Was that?
It was just before it came out.
Oh, just I take that back.
I was there when he figured out the number. He was quite surprised.
I have a customer down. This is kind of go along with that story you just told, Dave. And New Bedford. New Bedford's a fishing industry. And a good customer of ours, Scott Nanfeld, owns Delkin, I think he's 14 laundromats. And he recently put in a SanOWash. We finally got him to do it. We go back multiple years with his family. Put it in, and he has a couple of 130-pound soft mount washers in there. And the fishermen come in, and they usually do 2 or 3 washes. Well, actually, the attendant does it. Now they do 1 wash, 2 rinses, that's it. And the fish smell's gone. But here's the funny part of this whole story is then they have another group of people. How do I say this tactfully? They smoke wacky tobacco. And they're having a hard time getting the odor out.
Mm-hmm.
1 wash, 2 rinses, gone with SanOWash. I think that's a little fun spin on that.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because, anybody that does any volume of wash, dry, fold is going to have those customers, whether it's just cigarette smoke, cigar smoke.
Oh, yeah, that's normal.
Yeah, and it's amazing because that's one of those things that our employees hate taking those orders in. And part of the reason they hate taking them in is, because they stink and smell. But part of the reason they hate taking them in is because these people take pride in their work. If they work for us, they take pride in their work. And they've always hated the fact that they couldn't get those smells out. There's not much you can do. You can minimize them, but it's still there. The laundry never smells clean, and that bothers our employees. With the SanOWash system, we don't have that issue anymore. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's 100% gone because a lot of times that's not the case. In fact, I'd say most of the time, but I would go as far as to say probably 90-95% of that odor is gone. So it's pretty substantial.
Another thing I want to quickly point out to you, you mentioned about competition and differentiating yourself. Brett Taylor, Yo Wash, and the Tampa Bay area. Mm-hmm. A competitor of his called me and almost across the street. And he said, I want to put a SanOWash and I want to be competing against them. And just to be open with everybody, I refused to sell them. And I called Brett Taylor. He's got to be pretty well known in the industry. He's from New Zealand. He's a fisherman. When there's some great stores down there, I said, Brett, I get this guy across the street that wants to put a SanOWash in. I said, no, Ralph, I'm not taking money out of your pocket, but I appreciate it. So I do protect our customers.
Well, one of the things I really am trying to do for our industry is I think in the past, and this is just my personal opinion, y'all don't have to agree. I think in the past, our industry has been too quick to see each other as adversaries, even a laundromat across the street. And I know that's a little extreme, to see each other as adversaries versus rivals. Rivals is a healthy relationship where we make each other better. Adversaries means we're at war, for lack of a better term. And as long as the market isn't overbuilt and overserved and the laws of supply and demand aren't tipped too far the other direction, let's try to better each other, folks. And, one thing I will tell you, Ralph, is distributors that make decisions based like you have done and saying, this is my customer. And even though I can make a sale and promote my product, I'm not going to do it. Folks, I'm always talking about the signs of a rock star distributor. That's one of the things they look for, or that's one of the things I look for. That's one of the things that the rock star distributors in our industry do and do well, is as best they can protect their clients. And my distributor here in HM has an identical mentality, whether it's selling equipment or buying a new, building a new laundromat for somebody. They know that if they don't take that project, that person, even that's right across the street from me, HM knows that laundromat's probably still going to go in there. They're just going to go use a competitor's equipment, but they still, out of principle, won't sell them that equipment. They won't build that laundromat, just like Ralph won't do that.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So let's all work together with this. Let's try to build this abundance mindset of looking at each other as rivals and making each other better. But at the same time, let's try to work with partners and distributors and manufacturers who are looking out for their customers. Because us customers, us laundromat owners, you know what, folks, whether you're in manufacturing or distribution, we're not a commodity. We're people. We have real families, and we should be treated as partners, just as we, the laundromat owners, should be treating our distribution partners and our manufacturing partners as partners as well. They're not commodities either, just selling us a widget and marking up the price. So that's my little spiel for today. That's something I'm pretty passionate about, and it's okay for people to disagree with me, but I'm pretty passionate about that. I think that type of mentality, if we can slowly adopt that across the industry, it's going to make us all better off. It's going to allow us to serve our communities in better ways, and it's going to allow us to what I call elevate the industry. So listen, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for diving in the weeds with us a little bit on the technology and explaining that to us. Thank you for the case studies. Ultimately, thank you for making my business significantly better than it was before. Because, I don't know that I'm going to tell you a really quick story. There was a time not too long ago, 2 or 3 years ago, where I was talking to Art Yeager at the Clean Show, and he was telling me about the SanOWash and Ozone and how I needed it. And I kept joking with him that it was pixie dust. I was like, I don't buy pixie dust, Ralph, because I hadn't done my homework. I hadn't done my research, and Art is the one that basically got me to open my eyes, because he kept kind of beating me. He knows how I run my business. He was like, you're missing the boat here. You're missing the boat. Finally, I was like, all right, Art, I respect you. I want to hear about this. Let's talk. And he started, and Ralph's no nonsense, or I keep calling him Ralph. Art is no nonsense. Art is no nonsense. And I respect that in people. And I love that about Art. And he gave me the goods. He gave me the lowdown. He told me about it. And then from there, I started researching and reading and looking into the technology, the delivery systems, the people behind the delivery systems, and how they run their businesses. And that's how I ultimately ended up doing business with you all. And it has changed our business in really a 6-month period of time. So I appreciate that from you all. Thank you for helping to elevate the industry with all that you do through your distribution channels, but also through the distribution of Ozone. So one last thing, Ralph, I almost called you Art. Ralph, how can people get a hold of you? How can they get a hold of Aquawing? How can they purchase a SanOWash system or have a conversation with you?
It's real easy. I guess I just say 1-800-258-3570, extension 114. And I can give you my direct line too, 603-518-2817. But we'll have that flashed up on the screen.
Yeah.
Yep. We can put that up there. And what about your website? Do you have a website they can go to?
Aquawingozone.com.
So listen, everyone, thank you for joining us for another episode of Laundromat Millionaire Business Podcast. We hope this was educational, informative. We hope you guys are out there in the industry helping to view each other as rivals and elevating the industry. Don't forget about my new book, Laundromat Millionaire, that's coming out October 1st, 2021. And we'll see you guys next time for another episode. Take care. Have a great day.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.